What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Huskers Live, another episode, and Brian is out of witness protection. Shout out to Brian.
Let's go.
Brian has, he's no longer homeless. He found a home. He has pictures. He found those somewhere too. So, yep, he's no longer in prison, witness protection, whatever I made up along the way. He's no longer there. We have a special guest today. I'm going to bring him in. Hopefully his stuff's working. I've seen him popping in and out. There's two. Hold on. Let's see which one's working here. So we got him. Let me see if we can unmute him here. We got Coach Michael Rose-Ivey in. So we're going to see if he's got some technical difficulties. So he's going to have to connect his stuff before he pops in. So we'll give him just a second. But Brian, how you doing today, man?
Well, other than the movers damaging my PC, doing fairly well. It's a nice, beautiful day. It's like 90 degrees, which is pretty cool for Texas. So I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing fantastic, man. I'm going to switch it to the two-person here. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Hello?
We there? We good?
Hey, let's rock and roll. We got it rolling.
Yes,
sir. We can hear you. How you doing today, man? Just telling the people you were coming on to break everything down with us, man. And I appreciate you for coming on and being gracious with your time, even though you got stuff going on today. So just want to say thank you for that. And just go ahead and tell the people what you got going on. Just update everybody on what's going on in your life with your coaching career and all that.
Yeah, first I appreciate you guys. It's always good to just be able to talk football. I just got a football practice. So, I mean, it's kind of like a ever-ending cycle of football for me. So this is easy, you know what I mean? So appreciate you guys having me. And right now in the season, I'm coaching up at Liberty High School. We're 2-0, really solid team. This is my first season there. After the past 3 seasons, I was a head coach. So back to kind of being an assistant. This past off season, I started my own. I have been doing some training for a while, but officially started my own business called Nexus Trench Performance, D-line training, film study, evaluation, recruiting, everything. Really trying to take that into a whole different space and a whole different, a new level. You know what I mean? Got a lot of ideas I got going for next year. So really just staying busy with that. Have my son who's 4, wife, and just doing the family thing. So life's been really good. Just like I said, football's never too far away.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fantastic to hear. And then, continuing your love for football. Like you said, you love what you do. So it's never an issue to be able to, talk about it or do it. Once you love what you do, it's hard to call it work after a while. So glad everything's worked out for you post Nebraska, and I would say what's kind of the biggest thing you've learned your post Nebraska career, just life in general, if you have a message for people.
Man, I say for anybody that's going through it right now, I say just embrace it and enjoy it. Like, there's so many times I have moments, you think you're over the game or you're over certain aspect of the game and stuff like that. It still hits me. It still hits you. You know what I mean? You just kind of wish you would have took advantage of certain situations, or maybe took a risk here, or maybe been a little more conservative in some spots, and just embrace it and enjoy it. I tell anybody, I don't know if any Nebraska players listen, or maybe high school players, man, but one of the coolest parts about high school, but more importantly, college ball, was playing with your boys, man. Being able to be in close proximity to them. Nowadays, I got guys in Texas, Florida, California, like all over the place. So it's really hard for us to get together. And I genuinely really miss those moments where, hey, we pop over to such and such's apartment, or we're going to such and such on Turtle Creek, just really hanging out with each other and just having that bond. I mean, you never get that type of bond. They talk about football being a fraternity, and that's kind of that feeling that, I still miss, more than the games and the accolades and all that stuff. Like, just being able to be with your boys, go through some grind, blood, sweat, and tears, and still be able to, that's one thing I really miss. So I hope anybody that's going through the situation now, just embrace it and enjoy the journey. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. For people to know. And we have a couple people who listen. Makai's dad is a big time listener to the show too. So it's good for them to hear those lessons as well from somebody who's been there and done that. So, without further ado, Brian, do you want to go ahead and introduce the football subject, and go ahead and just kind of given to your breakdown and stuff like that, and then see where you take it from there.
Yeah. So I was curious, especially when you're going from Tony White's defense to John Butler's defense. Kind of what are the things that you're seeing that Nebraska is doing differently between Tony White and Coach Butler?
I can't honestly say there is a lot different. I think the personnel is different. I mean, I'll start with this. The D-line. I mean, that's the obvious. You don't have Hutch, you don't have Robinson. It's going to look different. Like you don't have those big bodies that they've had over the past couple of years on the interior to where you feel like, okay, hey, we don't have to do as much slant and as much stunt movement in the past. So it's going to obviously look different up front. You have a lot more athletic bodies that can move, cut across gaps and things like that. So I think maybe a little bit more movement early on as far as with the D-line. I think structurally, though, like they're still in the 3 high safety stuff. They still go into, a lot of cover 2 and a lot of different scenarios within their structure. So, I mean, it's really honestly, it's about the same structure. Now, if you got to the nuance of the numbers, I think they probably play a lot more cover 1 this year than they did previously. But I mean, look at the guys you got to be able to cover. So I think it's the same. I mean, I think it's the same structure for the most part. I just think there are some nuances just with how Butler calls things and his history and his in the NFL that may be a little bit different. But outside of that, I think everything is pretty much about the same. You know what I mean? As far as probably the verbiage, structure, and all that stuff, how he's calling it, how he's utilizing his guys and the different skill sets they have is.
Sorry, we cut out for a second, but I think we got him back. Just elaborating on that a little bit. You were talking about more cover 1, and that's one of the things I noticed is the defense is a lot stickier in man coverage, doing it without drawing a lot of penalties or committing a lot of penalties as well, which means they're doing it, with technique in their coverage. What do you think has been the biggest, jump? Do you think it's personnel? Do you think it's, I felt like a lot of times, especially in the defensive backfield, in the safety department, there was a lot of, losing eyes. And I think that's because, Gifford, I feel like is a downhill type of player, and I felt like that was just kind of in his nature. Do you feel like there's a personnel kind of advantage to that? No knock on him or anybody in the past, but do you think it just fits a little better?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, if you put Gifford, I think in this defense, I think they keep him in the second level. I mean, you got 5 guys on the back end, and I've had all 22. I actually haven't seen all 22 of either game, but you can see the spin wheel kind of rotation they have back there. And honestly, I think all 5 guys, especially those 3 safeties, they can interchange between all those spots back there. So I think the skill set you have is just different. You have guys that can run. I mean, they talked about it. I mean, they said they probably had 3 guys that can get in people's face and play bumper run coverage. And throughout the first 2 games, we've seen Marshall do it. We've seen Wright do it. We've seen Donovan Jones do it. Even Buford and Harzog in the slot coming down and playing on the tight ends and the slot receivers. Like, I mean, they I don't know what they saw in the spring or what they, maybe it's a technique change or whatever it is. They saw something that said, hey, we got guys we can play bump and run. If we can just find a way to get some penetration on our D line, those guys are going to cover long enough for, we get some coverage sacks, opportunities for, bad balls and things like that. So absolutely. I just think it's personnel. It's definitely personnel. I mean, you got a little bit better athletes, no disrespect to Gift, right? Yeah. But you got a little bit better athlete back there. And so, when you have better athletes, everyone talks about being versatile. Versatile multiple are 2 most cliche words for a coach when talking about scheme. And on the offense defensive side. But true versatility isn't the amount of plays you can carry into a game. True versatility is having chess pieces, guys that can do more than one thing, not just be a pawn, right? And that's what they have right now, especially on that 3rd level with those 5 guys. And they tackle well. Butler's not afraid to send them off the edge on blitzes, so he has confidence in them there. So I think it's definitely personnel for sure. Definitely personnel. Not saying what Tony White, because I haven't looked into Florida State. And I plan on at some point kind of going in and looking at Florida State, kind of seeing what they're doing. And you can truly probably see the difference between Butler and White's system probably there. And I would assume with the athletes that White has, that he's probably playing has more uptick in his man coverage calls too. So it's probably personnel for sure. Long way to answer.
One thing I could tell about the Florida State's defense is they were physical, and then, so that's one thing that did carry over for sure. Brian, go ahead.
Surprised me because remember he said something during the summer or something like that. Or was it summer like 2 weeks ago where he really challenged like his guys, like the physicality, toughness, and you can always kind of tell. You can always tell when assistant coaches have been, giving some good info from head coaches.
Yeah.
There was a little Matt Rule in that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was a little Matt Rule in that press conference, from Tony White.
Oh,
I don't remember.
yeah.
I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but he flat out came out and said he thought defense was practicing soft, and guys need to figure it out toughness. And you can tell. And he has an edge about himself already, but you can just tell, right? Certain coaches are gonna rub off on you to where, hey, I'm definitely taking these type of mantras, this mentality with me wherever I go, and you can tell that it was a little Rule moment there, for sure from him.
Yeah, no sugarcoating. That's one thing I appreciate about this staff, especially. So, Brian.
Yeah. So, Michael, one of the concerns, I guess you could say, going into the year was that defensive line, in particular, the interior. You already mentioned they're a little bit smaller. They don't have Ty. They don't have Nash. What can they do to, I guess, combat not having as much size, but more of an athletic profile in that defensive line? Is that something that you use the linebackers for a lot more in the run fits, or how do you just combat when you have most of your defensive tackles are like that 290, 295 range?
Yeah, I mean, you got to move them. You know what I mean? You gotta stem them. You gotta get them slanted across guys' face. Get them into different gaps. Presenting different pictures. Maybe starting in 3 technique, and he's slanting to a 1 technique, and your other guy's slanting from a 1 to a 3. So you're kind of starting in one front and getting to another front just in post snap. And so, that's crucial. You can't have those guys standing there taking on doubles and taking on single blocks like that just straight up for 60 snaps in a game, or you're gonna get beat. And that's just the philosophical advantage of the 3-3-5 is the speed, right? I mean, obviously it'd be great to have a nose tackle there, but if you look at the history of 3-3-5s, they have never really been big on having, bigger defensive linemen. You know what I mean? So they're more worried about the speed and the movement of guys getting across the face and things like that. So I think that's where Nebraska has to use their size and speed to their advantage.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was telling Brian to leave. So the echo goes away. So he'll pop back in just a second. But to kind of keep up with the spread offenses, that was kind of the big thing behind it. And one of the biggest things that I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but week 1, it was less about getting blown off the ball, and it was more about Cincinnati scheming us up with the zone run very well.
Right.
And they were just doing a good job of getting to their spots ahead of us, and then taking advantage of, opportunities where, we may have gotten a little lazy laterally, instead of attacking downhill. And then when they got us to attack downhill, then they hit us with that reverse, and stuff like that. So, a lot of people there was a lot of concern around that aspect of it, but I feel like that was a lot of scheme, and I feel like that's some stuff that can be overcome. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, how much it can be overcome is the question. Like, can they find obviously the right calls, timing and stuff like that to be, super dominant? That's probably not gonna happen. I mean, that's a great thinking, but as far as being able to play sound defense, I think they definitely can do that.
Yeah.
I think that's the ceiling if being dominant is the roof. You know what I mean? So I think they can definitely play, good defense. You know what I mean? Take away inside gas and force the ball outside where they can run to the ball, rally with those 5 guys on the back end plus the backers. But yeah, it's just gonna look different. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we got to understand you don't have pluggers in there at backer, right? You have more, athletic type guys that can run in space. And then up front, you don't have big plugger guys up front. So there's going to be a lot more movement. It's going to look a little bit different, but I agree with you. I think the scheming of what Cincinnati did, especially for a first game, I mean, it's not. I mean, we saw. I mean, they play Bowling Green next week, albeit, but
Yeah.
Cincinnati is not a bad team. I
And
mean, we're gonna look.
Sorsby's
Yeah,
athletic.
Sorsby. I mean, could potentially be. I mean, a Big 12 offense player of the year. I mean, he's not a slouch, you know.
Not at
And I
all.
think honestly, when they get their offense rolling, we're gonna look back in November like, "Sheesh, I'm glad we got them week 1." You know,
Exactly.
I think they're gonna be a good team. Their defense is really good. They're gonna give guys fits with. I mean, shoot, they play a 3-3-5 again, just different philosophy. They got that big guy Corleone in the middle, and he can plug away. They got some good backers too. So I think a lot of it was scheme, and I think the good thing about I finally tapped into Houston Christian today. I think they'll get their chance at a similar scheme. And they'll give them a chance to kind of. I don't want to say, you know, you can't take anything away from what Cincinnati did, but just kind of give them the second opportunity to see that stuff. Because the following week, when you get to Michigan, a lot of the same concepts, the motions, the guys going across the face, post and pre-snap is going to be the same thing you got from Cincinnati and the same thing you get from Houston Christian. And I can't say they planned this out. Rule's a great planner, but this is a great game for as far as schematically, not the level of play that these players are going to be playing at, schematically to get you prepared to play for a team like Michigan following the performance you had the first week in Cincinnati. I mean, it's a perfect setup for them where you can really tap into different schemes and different ways of running them and carry the same stuff over to the next week, right? If that makes sense. So big opportunity for them for sure.
And I'm glad you brought that up too, because you know Bryce Underwood, albeit a really, really good quarterback, he's young, and their play calling. You know, my buddy's a Michigan guy, covers Michigan. Not a big fan of their play calling, but that is a matchup problem again because they run a lot of that zone blocking scheme that we struggle with. Yep. But Sorsby is going to run a lot more than Bryce Underwood will. Bryce Underwood can run, but he likes to be in the pocket a lot more. But that is a great setup. We had an athletic quarterback, you know, with the Cincinnati team that we're able to come in and beat, and then we got this set up again to kind of maybe just get a little bit of a polish up for that Michigan game for sure. Yeah.
Can I say one worry about Underwood? I'm worried. Okay, after 3 games, we'll see how they play against Central Michigan. What I'm worried is, right, after 3 games going 4th game, like, okay, our passing game isn't what we wanted. Underwood, we need you to run. And I hate for that to start this week.
I 100% agree because he
against us.
Can.
Because he absolutely can. I think if they, you know, I think Michigan is you know, so a couple plays of design quarterback runs from really putting some pressure on guys and taking that pressure off him with his arm. And I think that's got to be their next step if things don't go the way they wanted versus Central Michigan. Because if you look at that New Mexico game, I mean, that was a battle for a little bit. It wasn't a clear cut like blowout. And even running the ball, they had one or two big runs, but outside of that, they really didn't run the ball that efficiently against New Mexico. Definitely didn't do it efficiently against Oklahoma. They had a couple big runs there too, but I just hate for it to be us the week that they want to start using his legs more.
That's what
he can do it, and it's going to open up their game a lot more.
Yeah, 100%. That's what they did last year with Alex Orji. They just kind of gave up on all their quarterbacks and just started trying to run it with Alex Orji, but then that didn't work. They tried to go back, you know. So yeah, it's because, you know, it's Michigan. I mean, they're going to have offensive linemen. They're at least like, let's try to run the ball.
Right.
And, you know, Bryce Underwood's athletic enough, and he does have some touch on his passes. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't even think about that. The fact that they could just start picking it up in that game. So, but Brian, go ahead.
So, yeah, when you're playing these games, like in your career, right, you've had those games where you played the Akrons or the Houston Christians of the world where you're supposed to win big. What is it that you're looking for in those games from a coach's perspective? Obviously, execution and whatnot and building depth. But I guess I've always wondered what the true purpose of these games where you're going and you know you're going to win by 50+ points and kind of what you achieve from that.
Well,
if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Well, I think football probably don't achieve much financially. The other program is probably living. Yeah, I mean that's the big reason for these games. We all know that, but as far as what you can get out of it is, you know, guys you want to see them obviously be probably a lot of base defense, a lot of you know, just day one fall camp type of things, and you want to see your guys execute. That's the biggest thing. No costly penalties. Nothing is going to go into the next week that Michigan sees like, oh, we can take advantage of it. You know what I mean? So the biggest thing is just playing clean, coming out with no injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Coming out clean with no injuries. So, we know what it's all for, but then they still got to get some type of, get something out of it.
Yeah, and as a player, correct me if you did notice the same thing or if you have, but I feel like this team more than any in the past, the energy did not take a dip, no matter
Yeah.
which level that we had on the field, first, second, third string. The intensity didn't seem to decrease no matter how far up we got in the game. The complacency seemed to like never really show up. And even that blocking that field goal before halftime, it's just like a lot of teams in that moment to be like, we're up 33-0, let's just go ahead and get in half, 33-3, whatever. They weren't going to give up those points. And what do you think has been the biggest shift? And I would imagine it's probably a lot of the culture, and then I think it's a lot of what's gone on behind the scenes with winter mat drills and just putting these guys through these tough scenarios and just building them for these moments. And these become easy moments for them just because of those reps.
Yeah, man. I think it's a lot of stuff we don't get to see. And that's the thing you tell a lot of young athletes. You see Sundays, right? But you don't see, the Monday through Friday, what it takes to get to a game day. And that's the biggest thing for a lot of guys is understand the process. Now, you can't just create a process when the season starts, right? I feel like in high school, right? We have the summer where we have the 2 months, and it's pretty much all football, right? We know no school. And I always give my speech when we get to, beginning of August. Yeah, school is a distraction, right?
Yeah.
And people take it however they want, but it's a distraction, right? If the goal is for us where we are right now is to win a state championship, or for Nebraska to win a national championship, there has to be has to be a standard. It has to be consistent throughout the year. And as we saw in the halftime speech Rule gave, I mean, if my standard's too high, then I'll leave. Right? You know what I mean? I think that's just been it. And I think it's kind of been approached with the other guys. But I think where that click is where you see, hey, be careful. Where that click where you see is where the players are saying, hey, if you don't want to hold to the standard, we'll kick you out. Right. We're not going that's where the change happens,
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're kind of seeing on the field. You're seeing guys enjoying playing with each other, enjoying, representing Nebraska. And once you get it player led, man, that's when, not the cliche team meeting, players only, and we got to figure out. Especially we did that a couple of times under both, right? And actually under Riley too. You know what I mean? And what does it help or does it? I mean, do you got good players or not? Right? That's really the end of the day.
At the end of the day,
yeah, you got good players or not. So I think at the end of the day, the standard they created in the offseason, the mat drills. I think, the guy that let's make on name, the strength coach, Coach Corey.
Oh, Corey Campbell.
Yeah. I think he's got a I don't know if you remember when Dobson was there under Bo, but he has a very much that type. I think Rule trusts him that much that where if Rule say, hey, I'm gonna go vacation for a month, I think he'll let him handle and he'll be perfectly fine. Like I think he has a pulse on the guys, and obviously you see the work and transformation of their bodies and things like that.
Absolutely.
That he's tapped into a mindset as well too, and I think the whole staff is under the same belief and same mindset. So it makes it easier for everybody to get better. You know what I mean? Everybody to progress.
100%. I think what you mentioned with it being going back to you saying it's player led, it brings me back to kind of what I've talked about a lot this offseason and since 2023 when Matt Rule came in one of his early pressers, he talked about it's going to be more of us, less of them in the beginning, but the goal is to make it more of them, less of us. And that was part of, breaking them into those 6 different teams and having those playing across the different fields. Like those players got those reps at leading the charge and coaching each other and getting, and the natural leaders form themselves. And I think all of that's finally come to fruition. I think that's the beautiful part to see about this process. And to see like, okay, like Matt Rule, he came in here and he was like, when we lost the first couple of weeks, he's like, you didn't bring me in here to win now. You brought me in here for this, and now we're seeing that and getting to the other side of that. I think we're starting to see that. And I think that's where the standard is high. I said after the week 1, I was a little disappointed, but that's because my baseline was higher, because coming into the season, I was like this year 3. And no disappointment in last year, I would have been ecstatic. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's the standard raise, kind of like you were talking about. Brian, let's move over to the offensive side of the ball and talk about that a little bit as well.
So my big question is at this left tackle spot where we kind of saw things iron out last week, but you got 3 guys basically fighting for that left tackle spot. How do you go about, or how would you go about finding that bookend left tackle between Gunnar Gatula, Elijah Pritchett, and Turner Corcoran?
I may have lost him for a second.
Me?
Yeah, just cut out for just a second.
Sorry. I said you got kind of a round bag of of everything there. You know, you got your older guy, you know, super vet. You got the guys played a little bit, but kind of getting his feet a little bit wet. You got your transfer guys coming in. I think rules made it simple. If you're not living up to the standard 24/7, then you know that's on the field, off the field, in the weight room, doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself. And you're just not going to play. And I think at this point, you need guys that you can trust. Obviously, skill is important, but the main thing is guys you can trust, especially if you're going to play on that backside of Dylan. So I think you got to keep going with what works. If you're going to leave it open for the rest of the year, which it seems like on the depth chart, they took the or off of it. So it looks like they're trying to solidify that spot. And I don't see Rule. I think he wants to get a guy in there, get a staple guy in there, and keep it that way. But whatever's going to help the team win, you know, and going to help the team develop the next guy, because we've seen injuries at the line or the offensive line spot really hurt Nebraska's offense. So you got to have those guys ready. But at the end of the day, you want a solid starter. You want to have someone you can go to sleep knowing that Dylan's backside can be protected.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What I guess with this year's offense versus last, and you know, I broke the air raid down, and it's calling it an air raid might be even a misnomer at this point. It's just kind of a balanced offense with a lot of air raid principles in terms of the route concepts, but it also has a lot of the same language from other offenses as well.
Yep.
But I'd say, you know, outside of, because, you know, with the concept of just kind of spreading the field out, you know, making the defense kind of cover grass. But I think the biggest thing that we've seen this year versus last year is just Dylan's calmness. His, you know, Glenn Thomas says all the time, calm feet equal calm mind. His calmness in the pocket. And, you know, what do you think has been the biggest key to that? Do you think it's the simplified play calling? Do you think it's the lack of options, you know, with routes out there, you know, way more routes than Satterfield had running, you know, at every level, and they're attacking the levels, you know, they're changing the attack point and trying to keep it, you know, what do you think that has been the biggest thing in his development and his growth this season?
I'll say I don't have any quote unquote inside or anything like that, but I'll say the biggest thing is from what I've gathered, the organization of the offense, the language, the structure, how we're setting up certain things is a lot smoother. And you got to understand, I mean, Hogan has been an offensive coordinator. He's been a head coach. He's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
So he has a different setup, right? He has 20 plus years of trial and error, right? So I just think the organization of the offense is just a little bit cleaner for Dylan. You know, I think that him and Holgerson, and even him and Thomas, I think they all just have a good cohesiveness. So and I think too is the respect level with Holgerson. I mean, I'll just be honest with you, he's no nonsense. Like, you know, I talked to Mosey quite a bit and kind of about stuff. He works under Holgerson, and he called it how it is. I think that's the other part too, is that he holds a similar standard as Rule. You know, he wants his guys to play the way he sees it in his head. Like, there's no other way around it, right? He's just as demanding as Rule. Shoot, he's just as loud as Rule in the practice sometimes, getting on the guys, you know, to pick up the tempo and you know, make the right reads and make the right decisions and just play fast. So I think when you got a guy like that as a coordinator, just like you got with John Butler on defense, takes a lot of pressure off of Rule, that we feel like he doesn't have to spend more time on one side of the offense with the offense or the defense. So I just think the organization of the offense is a lot better for Dylan, for the entire offense. And then everyone's you're advancing to the offense too, right? So everybody knows what to expect a little bit more. may have an understanding of what Holgerson like to call in certain situations. And I think too, Dylan just having more experience, being able to say, "Hey, I like this. I don't like this. Let's try this." And I think with more confidence, obviously, um, his playing level increased. I think that he'll be able to have more say so in those type of decisions in the game plan. But the organization's a lot better. They're on the same page. I think there's an emphasis and there's a process of where they want to a process for how they want to do things to get the end results they want.
For sure. And one more thing, you mentioned Mosey, so I do want to ask a question. How important and talking about Williams one area, how important do you think it is for a player like that, at as talented as he is, goes over to Missouri and, doesn't really necessarily see eye to eye with that staff, and coming back over here and being able to be with somebody who he was so close to? And how important is that as a player to be able to get that guidance very young, and be able to get kind of everything back on track?
No, I think it was important. I think if if Mosey's at the University of Temple right now, I think that's where Williams at. I think they have that type of relationship. Um, I think the accountability levels there, from high school, having that experience, being around them. They have a history. He's really close with their family. So, I would say he's like a father figure to him.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely something to work out. I think Mosey in general. I think you don't get Deshaun and Williams here if Mosey's in here. To being honest, I think that I was NIL helps, but I think that relationship,
Yeah.
That relationship and obviously Rule being able to vouch for his ability to go out and recruit by having on staff and things like that.
Yeah.
And even sending him off, he was in California, I think, all by himself. He recruits by himself. So he has the trust of Rule and that staff as far as evaluating talent, but also closing the deal. So he's been key and vital, even though he doesn't make any play calls, he doesn't even coach the receivers. But
Yeah.
he's a guy that I think will have a bright future at the collegiate level as a position coach. And don't be surprised if it's as an OC some down the line either. Like, and he's a leader of men too. So I couldn't tell you how far that ladder's gonna go up, but he's a guy, for sure a guy.
Yeah, I did a full video when we got Jamar Mosey, and some of the stuff that I learned about him. A guy, and they was talking about how somebody who is from the Lee Summit area and was talking about how there was a kid in the cafeteria who didn't have school supplies or whatever, and he bought school supplies for some kids in the cafeteria and stuff like that. And I think it was NAIA, either person of the year, man, something like that. I forget because I did the video a little while back. But I might repost that if y'all get a chance to go check it out, because excellent person. What he did there was incredible as a coach.
Yeah.
But it's more so when you do something like that as a coach, and the legacy that you leave is just how good of a person you were. I think that's a testament to him as a coach and as a man, and I would not be surprised either to see him. I was already surprised looking at his history that he wasn't already above where he was.
Yeah, and I think he's in the perfect spot. Like I said, you got Rule. I mean, if Rule brings him a guy, or if Mosey brings Rule a guy, I mean, there's no hesitation. It's like let's go look at him. Let's go figure it out. And you need those type of guys. And the way Rule's built his staff, I mean, you can just say, obviously he's the CEO, he's the head guy, but he built his staff in a way that he has guys that he trusts. I don't think he would have them around if he didn't trust them.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing, being a former head coach and understanding, getting the right guys on the bus, getting the wrong guys off the bus, he's done a great job at that.
Absolutely. Brent, go ahead.
Yeah,
a couple more questions, then we're going to ask him about the specific play, and then we'll let him wrap up. So go ahead.
You briefly mentioned Williams Nwarni, and I saw you working with him this offseason, as after he had transferred to Nebraska. And from your perspective, what have you seen from his growth on the field between this spring, summertime when you were working with him to what you're seeing now on Saturday evenings in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it's too big of a jump. I think it's more than anything, he's just confident. Like talking to him when we did work out, he just spoke highly of Terry Braden and just how about him as well being like a father figure, being real, holding guys accountable. his NFL pedigree that he brings to that room is something different. You know what I mean? So there's already a command and respect that he has because I'm walking into the room with 2 Super Bowl rings, right? I've been to a place where you guys want to get to, and I still have those connections to the places you want to go. So I think already, I mean, his relationship he built with Williams, I think that's really helped him kind of accelerate his growth. Um, but I think also too, you gotta understand, and I'll just be very candid. Um, one of the things Williams struggled with at Mizzou, is from what I heard, was just the weight room, right? Not even being in the weight room and lifting, but just getting to it, right? And I'll be the first to tell you, I struggled with that my freshman year in the summer, getting up, going out, work out in the summer. It's not something easy, especially for a high school guy, to just transition to, right? Um, and so I think again, going back to Coach Campbell and his ability to build a relationship guy, I mean, you spend more time with your strength coach than you do your head coach, more than your position coach, more than your defense coordinator. So I think just the familiarity and comfort level he had with him, Coach Braden, Coach Rule, obviously Mosley to get him up there has really, like I said, accelerated his growth and has allowed him to, get back to being himself and being a part of something bigger than himself and the team. And just again talking to him, I know he genuinely appreciates that almost more than anything, just the family oriented environment that Rule has built uh,
Absolutely.
and just how they go about their business. You know what I mean? There's a standard, there's a process, the organization is there. Everything you need is right there. You got to take advantage of it. And that's something you talk to him now, he takes ownership of, kind of how that Mizzou situation went about and, how he learned from it and things like that. And everybody's journey is going to be a 4 year straight at school and then you're out of there, right? Some people are going to bounce around and you got to find the right place for you. Good thing for these kids, unlike us, we can freely find that second opportunity, sometimes third or fourth.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that's one of the benefits of the new transfer rule.
Yep. Brian, well, Michael, just a couple questions. Just looking back, I'm just looking back on your time at Nebraska. What would you say is your favorite moment looking back, or your favorite moment at Nebraska, maybe favorite play, and kind of favorite memory, whatever.
I'd say probably like 2013. Went to Michigan. They had I guess a 19, 20 game home win streak or something like that. And we ended up beating them in a pretty close game. I think Amir had like a late touchdown, like an option play or something like that. That's probably one of my favorite ones because I just like going back to what I said earlier about being in college and being around your boys and all that. That was really the first game me and like all my guys really started. I came in with Leroy Alexander, Avery Moss, Vincent Valentine, Aaron Curry. Like we just everybody that came in my class, right? That was kind of our first opportunity to really play and. We balled out. We had a good game and stuff like that, and obviously playing in Michigan, at the Big House. That was just kind of it was just one of those moments you'll never forget. So that was definitely one of my favorites. I put the Oregon game on there as well. Just the environment that was, and starting that season off 7-0 was great too.
Take us through that last play though.
What for Oregon?
Yeah, the last play of the game.
That was my favorite memory of you as a Husker, was that play.
Honestly, I didn't do much. I was supposed to be blitzing. I tried to blitz and I got stonewalled, and then I just dropped back. And it was like 3rd and 16 or 4th and 16 or something like that.
I think it was 4th and 16, yeah.
Yeah, no, he started running. I'm like, there's no way this dude think he's about to run.
What were you thinking on the sideline, like throughout that game, where they're going for 2-point conversions every time?
Oh, we talked about it. I mean, I'll probably say that week. I mean, you always have your special team meetings, but we probably spent more time on their like 2-point, swing and gate stuff probably than we did on some situations for the straight up defense. Like, they were really, back in the day, they were really extensive with that stuff they did on and for 2 points. So that was almost obviously it is down, but that was almost like playing 4th down, 3rd down. That was just as much a game plan. We had like 3 or 4 different calls for their swing gate, just like we would on 3rd down. You know what I mean? So they were unique. They were very unique to game plan for. Just with their tempo, their speed. I mean, they were like running plays every 12 seconds. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, that's a that was a tough team to prepare for sure. Brian, anything else?
I had one schematics question that I forgot to ask. This is something that I guess last week it was one of my kind of things that frustrated me, but it wasn't a huge issue in the second quarter or even the rest of the game. But Nebraska seems to struggle to run the ball in the red zone. They went for it on 4th and 1. They didn't get it. They tried the play before that and they didn't get it. What is it that you see that seems to be the issue with Nebraska in the red zone? Because this dates back to last year where they move the ball between the 20s and they get inside the 20 and it just seems like everything kind of blows up.
You know, I would have to look a little bit more in detail, but I'll say probably the biggest thing is what is their go-to run? You know, because I think once you get to the goal line, right, it's not really time to, you know, get to your secondary stuff. Like we're a power team, we're running power on the one. All right, if we're a, you know, inside zone team, we're running zone, right? If we're a duo team, that's what we're running. You know, I just watching Michigan films, and you know, they run a lot of complementary runs. When they get to the 5-yard line, everybody's down blocking to the left and right. Like you don't. There is no guessing, and I think that's more mentality. And I would, if you ask Drew, I bet it probably frustrated him as well. Again, being in year 3, thinking, you know, we set the culture, hey, it really doesn't matter what schematically you run, but we need 3 yards. Like, it don't matter what we run, we need 3 yards. But, you know, making sure you have your staple runs you can run for 3 yards and know you need 3 yards guaranteed. I think that's important. But I have to look more in detail to kind of really give you a better answer. But, you know, that's kind of the thing I've learned from offensive coordinators, that when you get into those needed situations, you rely back on what you're really good at. Now, if you've got a bunch of we're just average at stuff, you're gonna see a bunch of mixed results like we're seeing kind of with them in the run game. So I think kind of finding something you can hang your hat on thematically so the guys are comfortable with, hey, you don't have to look to the sideline for coach's signature. You know, we run a power. We know we're running power, all right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of those guys finding something to hang the hat on and be comfortable with running, regardless of the situation. Matter if they got 11 people in the box, right? We can still, you know, block it and get positive yards.
Yep. One of the things that I think was that I noticed that could probably have maybe corrected it on a couple of the runs was just changing the pad level. Like that one where Ives was running a little high and try to jump. You know, I Dowdle did a lot last year in short yardage situations, especially at the goal line, drove me crazy. But when you leave your feet, you lose all leverage. And if you get met at that top, if you get stopped, you're done. The play's over. Right. Whereas if you kind of, you know, keep low and let yourself drive, you know, through there and or just keep your center of gravity and your balance a little better, so that way you're not hopping over and then all of a sudden a lineman's, you know, grabs your leg and keeps you from going forward because you left the ground. I think just running that like with that kind of in mind, and it's not I'm preaching to the choir here. They know pad level and all that of course, but that's just something I noticed. But it's probably a small thing. You're thinking I'm just going to jump over, and all of a sudden your leg gets caught. You know, by Ives. That's probably what he's thinking.
Yeah, and they get him running through the blaster machine.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Coach Brown used to just abuse the running backs
with that thing.
Oh my goodness,
man!
Yeah, Coach Brown used to torture him.
Yeah, what was I would say, what was your, I guess, least favorite part of the practice, fall camp, winter mat, whatever y'all did?
The least favorite?
Yeah, what was it?
I mean, it's funny now. If you ask me, like when I was going like through it, I probably have a laundry list. But now being out of it, man, I miss all of it. Like, you know, it was it was hard. Like it's hard. I mean, especially to play for bowl. Like every time, you obviously the office used to be on the second floor, right above the weight rooms, and it'd be some days you don't even want to go up there, you know, because you already know, coach. He'll see you, he'll tell you, hey, what's up, and then for whatever reason, he'll think of the 5th or 6th play in team period yesterday when you didn't fill the A gap, and now you sitting there in the hallway talking about how you supposed to fit power for 10 minutes, and it's just no, that's one I can't really say anything I really didn't like, you know what I mean, or at least it actually rubbed me the wrong way nowadays. I say a lot more of it just me. Like I wish I would have took advantage of more opportunities and even the small stuff. I wish I would have, went out more and networked more with people that were outside of football. Like that's the stuff like that. I would say I wish I would have took more advantage of, but I can't say really anything about my experience I didn't like or rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, everything's a part of the growth. I mean,
yes,
in my opinion,
Yep. I think that's a great takeaway too, and a great thing to kind of to end it on. Military was the same way. I hated every second of it while I was in, but now looking back, I'm like, okay, like that shaped me, to what I am today. And for you, it's the same thing. And I think as humans, we all have regrets. So we should have done this. We should have done this, just because none of us take the optimal path. But I think that's what makes us who we are, puts us where we're at, puts the people in our lives that we have, has given you the beautiful family that you have, the great career that you have, given us the opportunity to come on and talk to you. And for that, I do want to thank you for coming on and letting your thoughts, be heard and staying with us for 45 minutes. I can't thank you enough for being gracious with your time and coming on here and letting us chat with you a bit.
No problem, man. You already know I'll anytime you guys have free time to want me on, I'll definitely hop on. But no, it's been a great experience for sure.
Absolutely. Do you want to just let the people know once again, like where they can follow you on X and stuff like that? He did a great thread after the game of kind of his breakdown of some of the plays. So y'all go check him out on X, but you want to let them know where they can follow you and what you got going on again?
Yeah, I believe I'm on X. It's Coach MRI, no underscore, I think.
We'll check.
Up on X.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll just
Coach
that's
Rose-Ivey.
one thing I've been Coach Rose, sorry, wrong name.
Coach Rose-Ivey.
Yeah, Coach Rose-Ivey on X. But yeah, I've been dropping some stuff in there. I just kind of did a quick little review or update of Michigan and kind of how they looked the first 2 weeks.
Awesome.
And tomorrow planning on diving in a little bit of Houston Christian, because the more I watched their first game against Arkansas Baptist, and I'm like, this might be a game for a quarter and a quarter half. I think they're better than Akron. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Defensively, I think, now you talk about pad level, I think there may be maybe some moans and groans from the crowd against that front. They have a big front.
Okay.
Big front, big heavy front. I think their safeties fit very well. I want to say they have the number one FCS defense in the country in the first 2 weeks.
I think
I
so.
saw Michael tweet that out earlier today about some stats about them. So I watched their defense a little bit. They can fly around. They can play offensively, like we talked about earlier. Kind of very similar to Cincinnati. So it's gonna be a good game, at least for the first quarter. I think they'll end up blowing them out, but I think there'll be some challenges and stuff that they'll have to work through, which will be good before they go into Michigan.
Absolutely. So y'all be sure to check that out so y'all can, I can break down X's and O's to only a level of my own knowledge. He does it for his career. So y'all be sure to check out Coach Michael Rose-Ivey's X account, and so that way y'all can be filling all that. You kind of understand what you're watching a little bit. So thank you again, Coach. I appreciate you hopping on here. And we'll be in touch.
For sure, man. Appreciate you guys. Go Big Red.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go Big Red.
Thanks, sir.
Fantastic episode there. That was great. Love the insight.
He's probably forgotten more football than I will ever know.
Listen, I know schemes, but he knows everything about the schemes. It's a different level of knowledge there. It's like when Damon Bidding does his film reviews. I'm like, watch his before mine, or watch mine first. You'll learn a little bit, and then watch his.
It's funny because there's moments where he was really getting into the terminology, and it's like he's speaking another language at times.
Yes,
and that's what I love about football is it quite literally is another language.
Exactly, and that's what the hard part is about talking about it, is like understanding like how to make it make sense to the layman, while still trying to make them understand how complex it is. And it's really hard. It's really hard to figure that balance out. But that's why coaches do what they do, because they know how to teach it. They know how to make it make sense. So yeah. But Brian, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we concluded?
I saw someone in the chat. Where did it go? Got to scroll through it really quick. Mm-hmm. There you go. Never mind me asked if I got my furniture.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I finally can display my copies of the signed Tom Osborne and Bob Devaney paintings. They are one of only 1,000 copies in existence. My Uncle Mike gave these to me as a gift. Thank you,
Shout out Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike. And then I can finally use my office a little bit.
Let's go. He has a home. He has walls. He's not on the porch anymore.
Sleeping on the floor anymore.
He looks like he slept, which is a positive, because there were a few days there I wasn't sure if you were going to survive the show, but you did, and you lived to tell the tale. So we want to give, again, another thank you to Coach Michael Rose-Ivey for coming on here. Y'all go give him a follow on X, and, look forward to having him back on. I'll be sending him over the all-22 footage, and we'll just have him back on to break some things down for everybody. So y'all stay tuned for that. Brian, anything else before we head out?
No, I think we're good. I'm going to finish unpacking my house.
Brian's going to go finish unpacking his house. Friday, call-in show. Y'all know the drill. 5 p.m. my time, 7 p.m. Central. Gotcha. You thought I was going to mess the time up, but I didn't. Almost did. But yeah, y'all check us out there. If you haven't liked this stream yet, go ahead and give it a like. Subscribe. Do the things. Y'all know what to do. I don't have to tell you. Do the things. Right.
Oh, stuff.
And I'll have breakdowns for Houston Christian coming up this week as well. So y'all stay tuned for that. But that'll do it for us here. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you again to Michael Rose-Ivey for coming on. And with that being said, we will see you on the next video.